David Collins. 30 minutes. Show with David Collins.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to David Collins' 30-and-a-half-hour award show. I'm this year's host, David Collins, and we have a great award show for you today. Boy, what a great year it's been. Great guests from all around this great country of ours. We visited great areas like Rochester, New York, Boston, Janesville, Wisconsin, Omaha, Nebraska, Galena, Illinois, and Des Moines, Iowa, and many more. Today, we'll be handing out awards for many categories to celebrate the great people involved in David Collins' 30-minute-half-hour show. This year's categories are Best Laugh, Best Location, Best Video Zoom-In, Best Repeat Guest, Top Fan, Worst Guest, and finally, Best Guest. My favorite part of this celebration is hearing all of the great acceptance speeches that we received. Before we start that, though, we'll take a moment to remember all of the people that we lost this year.
And it turns out that my parents that I was raised with are not my real parents. My parents were actually Lex Luthor and Dr. Bunsen Honeydew from the Muppets.
I ain't gonna say nothing.
Yeah.
But he's a good kitty in there.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that.
Hi, I'm Shane Gross. I'm hosting SNL this week with music.
Used to say Halloween's green room in here. You know, a lot of great comedians have been here. Jeffrey Asmus, that's right? Yeah. Jeffrey Asmus, Sam Talent has been in this room performing at the Lucky Cat. It's a little sad, unfortunately, the Lucky Cat will be closing very soon after our live show. Incidentally, not related.
David Bruce Collins Jr. There was nothing David Collins loved more than the ocean and being out in his boat, rod at hand and reel ready, family and friends near. Nothing, that is, except his wife and children, whom he loved deeply. I wanted to start today's awards show with one of my favorite categories, Best Laugh. We have a lot of laughs on David Collins' 30-minute-and-a-half-hour show, but some of those are more special than others. For the Best Laugh category, I wanted to send it off to our first guest presenter today, Matt Ferry.
Hi, I'm Matt, and I'm here to present the Best Laugh for David Collins' 30-minute-half-hour show. Here at David Collins, we're all about the laughs. The nominees for the Best Laughs of the Year go to Troy Rigdon.
Perfect.
And that's that clip.
Manny Muskets.
Yeah, Jesse's lawyer, though, at the end of the thing, he said to Jesse, he said, "We won. You can take that rope off your neck now."
I like that. Real funny guy.
Carl Hamburger.
I do not speak French.
We listened to a little learning French on the drive here.
Oh, really? Did you think there'd be a lot of French-speaking people
We
in
didn't know.
Boston?
We thought we'd be prepared.
Smart.
What's going on with your teeth and foot? Well, I guess we already kind of covered that.
Tom Myers.
I'll shut up now so you can get started.
Perfect.
Yep.
And Tom Garland.
There was like they found people in drums at the bottom of Lake Mead when it dried up.
Wow, snare or bass? Why don't we jump it around?
That was funny. That's the first good joke of this whole show.
And the winner is Carl Hamburger.
Well, hello, David Collins and crew. I just was made aware that I am the recipient of Best Laugh. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. I understand why I won. I'm always laughing, always having a great time. Every time I'm doing my show, Who Are These Podcasts, we're making jokes, we're laughing at jerks. And so there's a lot of laughter that goes on. And I don't know if I won because of quality or quantity. I assume the latter, but I still appreciate that. I'm just a very happy guy who really enjoys what he does and has a blast podcasting, and especially being on David's show and being a part of David's show is really overwhelming. I'm just over the moon. I'm so excited about it. It's so fun. Thank you again, David Collins and crew. I'm the best laugher.
Our next category today is Best Repeat Guest. Not many people have reappeared on David Collins' 30-minute half-hour show, so it's a big deal when we see some new faces twice. Here are our nominees for Best Repeat Guest. Austin Ingalls. Who would like to go first? This is a $100,000 pyramid. Does this sound like a fun game?
I'm excited. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Boy, what a great game. So I'm going to hand this to you here. Carson gives the clue. Dan McCullough. Make
That's
sure
you,
Austin
Dan.
doesn't see. You're going to flip this up, and that's going to be the phrase. So make sure Austin doesn't read
Maybe
that
I'll
there.
look the other way, David. I'll
And
look
he's
that
going
way.
to have to guess. So give it a look. Get it in your head. Think, how am I going to be conveying this over to Austin Ingalls? Troy Rigdon. What book was that from? Rudimentary Required Reading. Do you have any guess, Troy? What do you think?
Mein Kampf?
Oh, well, that's interesting.
No?
I was going to say The Lord of the Flies.
I see. Those are both incorrect. DJ Electra. But that's great. What did you think about those Ray DeVito emails? At least people are following up on it, but like I'm saying here, it's a little much. What do you think?
I think he's a little overrated. You know, you could do better.
A little overexposed at this point, I'd say. Lastly, and this year's winner for Best Repeat Guest is... Troy Rigdon.
So, after winning the most prestigious radio guest show award in the Midwest, in the Tri-States, what do you have to say for yourself?
Well, Tommy, I guess I have one thing to say. Of course I did.
Today's next category for David Collins' 30-minute half-hour award show, Best Location. This category is for those guests who decided to film or we joined in a unique room or space. For that, we'll be sending it to our next guest presenter today, Dylan from somewhere.
The nominees are Carl Hamburger in his own house.
And on the note of bingo, I thought it'd be fun to play my own game of bingo today. So I here have my own Carl Hamburger bingo card. So throughout the show, I thought I'd just be going through these and taking small notes, and then maybe at the end we'll review and see if I get a bingo.
All right, sounds good.
The owners of Cosmic Oasis in the Cosmic Oasis Coffee Emporium.
Hey there, I'm David Collins, and we're here at Cosmic Oasis in Galena, Illinois, and I'm here with Allison, the business owner of Cosmic Oasis, who invited us up here to do the episode and talk to customers and promote the coffee shop a little bit and just participate in whatever's happening. How are you?
I'm
well,
great.
thanks so much
Thank
for having
you.
us. We really appreciate being here.
David Collins in episode 49 on the river.
And finally, with the Olympics here, we saw that pole vaulter who had lost because of his schlong. Anthony Ammirati, after ruining his chances for gold due to an outfit malfunction, has increased his Instagram following from 5,000 to over 100,000, reassuring the world that he's not only a shower.
The Wizard in his home.
So the Wizard, why do they call you that?
It started off because I used to sell bongs better than anybody, and they called me the Bong Wizard or the Glass Whisperer.
The Glass Whisperer, that's a great nickname.
Yeah.
They call that, you're like a glass tongue wizard, maybe some people would say.
Yes.
Doug Townsend near a court-martialed tunnel.
You know, I received a phone call yesterday. I guess I'll just start from the beginning. I received a phone call, and with my history these days, I just record all of my phone calls. Okay. Which was good in this case. Yeah. A lot of you listening at home here might remember this voice here, but why don't we just take a little listen to this phone call, and that'll probably explain a little bit.
Okay.
And Brian Sternick in front of a dresser.
It's one of my personal favorites. It's called You Bored Yet? In this game, we're going to read out some rules of a board game, and you're going to have to tell us what that board game is just off of those 3 clues. Are you ready to play You Bored Yet?
I'm born for this. Me and my dresser, we were born to listen to this. Let's party.
Perfect.
Well, your dresser gets it. It's actually spelled B-O-A-R-D, like your dresser once was.
Ah.
Not B-O-R-E-D, like last week's listeners of Drive Time David Collins.
The winner is the owners of Cosmic Oasis in the Cosmic Oasis Coffee Emporium.
Maybe you could name a drink after me.
I would love to do that.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
What a collaboration.
What kind of drink do you think would be your signature drink?
Just black coffee.
Okay, so just every black coffee would be called the David Collins.
That could work.
Yeah, it could be something to catch on, I think.
Right. The Cosmic Oasis David Collins special.
It's a mouthful, but we could.
And a lot of people have said that about a lot of things. Our Instagram at DC 30-minute-half-hour show, very difficult to find.
Easy to screw up, yeah.
Certainly.
Yeah, you got to get the characters right.
And it's spelled, it's the 3-0. That gets a lot of people too.
Right, yeah.
I'm excited to present our next category today, Best Video Zoom In. Although our show is primarily an audio format, we do attempt to include the occasional video gag. Here are the moments and nominees for Best Video Zoom In. Nominees are Doug Townsend and his beer.
DC thoughts and prayers, because I had a couple thoughts and prayers that I had to hand out this week. The first one I wanted to hand out here was just to alcoholics in general, especially ones who don't even realize that they've gone too far gone the next day.
Right.
And also to those affected by alcoholics. If anyone in your life is an alcoholic, a family, a friend, an editor, thoughts and prayers.
Tom Garland's vape.
Common thing maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah. Like usually sometimes if you're playing on the road, they'll have you go on, but the guy's a friend. And so I go on Tuesday mornings.
Right. That's Rock 108 in, where are they located? They're somewhere in northern Iowa, but it's Brian Marshall. And maybe I was interested in getting on that show for the reality show at some point. We haven't really done that up to this point.
David Collins and the laptop prank.
No, that one was hard. So advanced technology, I didn't know what the hell to do with that.
You know, I have some bad news here.
Yeah.
I had this backup here, and the backup has stopped working. I don't even know why I brought this.
What the hell?
April Fools! This was not even a laptop the whole time.
Oh, David.
It's another fake laptop.
Oh, my God.
You have no idea how many fake laptops I have.
You must have so many of them.
That is insane.
April.
And Johnny O, Long Story Zoom.
A friend of mine opened a music club, and it was big enough to book national bands. And I said, let's book a band. So we picked a band, and I got in touch with them, and the rest is history.
And they said, yes, I'm going to do it again.
Yep, and then there you go. Yeah, that was in 2015.
How do you go about starting? Who do you pick as a band? How do you start out?
With who was popular at the time, and for the size of the club, you have to pick someone that's not. You can't pick an arena band for a room that's 350 people. So we picked an up and coming band. The band was called Otherwise.
Right. And the winner of the best video zoom in gag is me, David Collins, for that great prank that we pulled with Austin Ingalls and Dan McCullough. Our next category is going to be a fan favorite, I'm sure. This year's top fan. To present this year's top fan, we're going to send it over to our last guest presenter today, David Collins, 30-minute-half-hour show's #1 fan.
Hey there. You might remember me, David Collins' #1 fan. I'm here to present David Collins' #2 fan category. And the nominees are Sam Bibley.
In some way, maybe interact a little bit. I heard a little rumor, Sam Bibley, a chatter, a very well-known chatter, he might be calling into the Discord today.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from him.
Are you? Okay, good.
Yeah, I get Sam on here.
There's a lot of rumors flying around that you two have some beef.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah, I wonder who's swirling those around.
I'm not sure. I'm hearing something about it.
Matt O'Daniels.
Next email here comes in from Matt O'Daniel, a familiar name becoming on the show here. Good morning, David. Despite the lengthy email 2 weeks ago, the idea or speculation that I'm somehow trolling needs to be thrown out. Attached is the picture of the garbage can outside of my work, appropriately named Jerry's Sanitation.
Mike Geary.
I want to stop everything
to make sure that everyone knows, Wednesdays, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Drive Time David Collins is on. I want to stop my show to make sure I promote that.
Brad Logan.
This comes in from Brad Logan, who sent this in. He said, I thought you and Tom had some great chemistry on the show. The back and forth was like Noel Coward and Rodney Dangerfield trading bon mots. Well, that's a very kind email. Thanks so much. I'm glad that you enjoyed the show, Brad Logan.
And Ouija. And the winner is Matt O'Daniels. Here is his acceptance speech. Good morning, David. First, I'd like to thank Mark Norman, Blind Mike, Carl Hamburger, and Kraegers. Those dudes introduced me to the DC 30-minute... he said the. Those dudes introduced me to the DC 30-minute half-hour show. Second, David, you're playing with house money. Appreciate your tenacity and commitment to the fans. Thanks to all that make the DC 30-minute half-hour show a success. Looking forward to an even better 2025. Matt O'Daniels. P.S. Attached is a text from Jerry. He's got an automobile app now. Thank you, Matt O'Daniel.
Before we begin our final categories this evening, I wanted to give out some special mentions this year. First, I wanted to shout out somebody who's appeared in multiple episodes of all of our shows here. It's not often somebody appears on David Collins' 30-minute half-hour show twice, let alone as a guest 3 times in 1 year. Not to mention all of his appearances on Drive Time David Collins, a special mention to Troy Rigdon. The next special mention goes to the guest who did best on their episode's games. We love a good game on David Collins' 30-minute half-hour show, and not many people are able to complete such a winning record, as did The Wizard on episode number 40. Special mention to Chris Kaufman, The Wizard. Lastly, I wanted to mention all the people who blocked us on social media this year. Sometimes it's hard to say no and easier to just block. Here are those special mentions. Danny Polishchuk, Tom Garland, Joey LaFleur, John Knopf, Austin Black, and finally, Gutter Oil Pod.
You're listening to
David
Collins.
30 minutes. Show with David Collins. Listen at work, at home, or on your device. Stream us now.
Now for the main event this evening. Our 2 flagship categories, Worst Guest and Best Guest. Picking a least best guest or worst guest is the most difficult part of the year for me. I enjoy every guest we have on the show, especially some of the people who found themselves on today's list. Here are the nominees for this year's Worst Guest. Ray DeVito. Check out Austin Ingles' YouTube channel for some great impressions.
And something about the name Blind Mike, because there's 2 Blind. One of the producers...
Right, well, I actually talked with Blind Mike yesterday. It turns out he prefers Mike.
Oh, he does?
Oh,
he's talking about Gas Digital
At least
Blind
between
Mike.
me and you, I don't know that Blind Mike.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I've never
There's
met
a producer
gay Blind
at
Mike.
Gas Digital in New York City named Blind Mike. He actually helps me out with a lot of stuff. So when I always hear
Well, that's
producer
interesting.
Blind Mike, I just assume it's the same Blind Mike. But there's 2
Right.
Blind Mikes. Something about if you're going to be a Mike and a producer in podcasting, Blind Mike's the name to go with.
You know, there's actually a third one, too.
Of course.
We have a great show planned for you today.
Blind Mikes.
A great
3
guest.
Blind Mikes.
Some
See
great
how
games.
they produce. See how they...
Joe Fernandez. A great crowd, probably 50 people there, which is tough for the summer. It is what it is. But there was somebody in the audience that came up to me afterwards, and he said, "Hey, I'm David Collins." Why don't we take a quick listen?
Hi, I'm David Collins.
See? Isn't that interesting?
No,
David
yeah.
Allen Collins. Do you know any David Collins?
You're the first one I've ever met, man.
You'd be surprised there's so many. Even last November, I believe, there was a David Collins, also from Manhattan, Kansas, age 33, rolled his Ford truck in a ditch there and died. And people were very concerned. They said, "Oh, is this you?"
But it wasn't, obviously.
Of
You're
course.
doing fine.
Tom Garland.
As a kid, how did your parents handle that? Finish that punchline.
How did your parents handle that?
Right.
And I'm supposed to do what? I'm supposed to guess what he said?
Right. You finish his joke.
Oh, I don't know, dude. I feel like you don't even need me for this show. Like, I feel like I thought we were doing like an interview or something like that.
Oh, well, that comes after the first game. I have a lot of questions for you today, but this is a nice way to warm up, and then we get to play a game. And a lot of people really enjoy this game. It's Finish the Punchline.
Yeah, you finish it for me. I don't know.
How did your parents handle that? They hit me.
Yeah, okay.
We just have one round left here. Why don't we jump into round 3?
Paul Rader mentioned there. A lot of speakers coming out there. Did you see any of the speakers?
I did hear a little bit about people that did come out. Obviously, you had John Legend.
I didn't see him
performing there. Yeah, and the artist formerly known as the Dixie Chicks, the Chicks. I remember back in the day they had there was a controversy with them. They had criticized George W. Bush when he was president. So I that's kind of where I always remember them from.
Well, that's a fascinating story
there as well too. Yeah.
And Hack Ride Studios.
Yeah,
were you able to watch any of the live show?
Electra, I'm not listening to him. Show him how we do an intro.
I did watch the live show, and I brought you a present. Are you ready? Do you like presents? Here we go.
Oh, that's great. Well, maybe the present.
Everyone dance to David Collins.
David Collins.
David Collins, baby.
David Collins. David.
This is how you do an intro, David.
Well, it's a great intro. Let's see how you do an intro here. As long as we're doing the music here, I do have one other quick update, of course. Jerry is recovering from his long COVID. He's feeling much better this week. So, Jerry, thanks so much for your thoughts and prayers.
We're not done.
Hopefully,
we're into the second verse.
There. We have a great show planned for you today. A real interesting
Not until the
guest.
intro's over, you don't.
Like I mentioned, are you doing an introduction? Is that what's happening here? And this year's winner of Worst Guest goes to Ray DeVito.
You having fun yet? Hey! Son of a bitch. What's the matter with you, man? You gonna make it? David Collins, you won the Worst Guest Award this year. Speech.
Who, me or you?
Me or when I did your podcast, I will accept it with an honor. Thank you for everyone that voted for me, David Collins.
Before moving to our final category today, I have some people that I wanted to thank specifically this year. We have a lot of great people that work on this show behind the scenes, and even friends of the show that lend us an invisible hand sometimes. Special thank you to Dan McCullough, Brody Tupy, Casey Day, Matt Ferry, Trinity, Dylan from Somewhere, Austin Ingalls, John DiCaprio, Allison Vanderpool, Eric Nagel, Mike Geary, Delicious, Jerry, and Tate Hagen. Thanks so much. Our final category today, this year's Best Guest. On David Collins' 30-minute half-hour show, we have a lot of great guests, but these guests in particular stood out as especially wonderful appearances to David Collins Nation. Here are this year's nominees for Best Guest. Eric Nagel.
That was definitely a phone scam. It needs a bigger, more punchier bed at the end to really emphasize the fact that this was a funny bit phone scam staple for your show.
Is that right? A stinger. You think we should work more on the production end of the phone scam?
Right. So I used to work at one point. You said Scott and Todd, and Todd
certainly a legend of the phone scam industry. Is that why you got into radio?
No, not for Scott. Yes. Todd. No, absolutely not. But the way Todd would do all of his scams were fake. He had scripts and actors and things like that. But every phone scam, when it was done, it had a really bad ending, and it would play this bit. It would go. And then he'd come back in there. Phone scam number 147, the no two-door. And then he just would re-explain what the joke was before it goes right to
DJ Electra.
When she ripped up a photo of Pope John Paul II on Saturday Night Live. It was actually just a photo of the Pope, but it was the only time that he's appeared on the show. And that was the only time.
That.
Isn't that interesting? Wow, you did such a good job there. Are you a fan of SNL? I guess that kind of, I think we thought that SNL kind of wrapped in. I bet a lot of people that are a fan of Pride Month are also big fans of that show.
I would think so. Yeah, I'm a very big fan.
Oh, well, that's great. I would say that it's not too bad. I love that Colin Jost fellow. Anyway, boy, we ran a little long here, but that just means it was such a great show. DJ Electra, thanks so much for coming on the show today. Did you have a good time?
Thank you, David Collins. I had a great time.
Troy Rigdon. Bill Clinton was on that about over 50 times. Did you see this?
Hey, you better be careful talking about them.
And Bill Clinton. Well, I guess you got to be careful talking about the Clintons. That's true. Either way, a bad week to be a saxophonist.
I suppose.
A bad week for saxophone. This actually reminded me of a joke. Do you know any Bill Clinton jokes?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
I'm a big fan of jokes. I'm not sure if you know. Now, a little inside information. Troy is somebody that's been showing up to a lot of these comedy clubs in the area, so we've been getting to know each other a little bit. It's not the first time that we've met here, but I had a fun joke here. This reminded me of this whole Bill Clinton thing. Reminded me of a fun. Have you ever heard the golden urinal joke?
I don't think so.
So Bill Clinton's president, and he's at the White House, and he has a friend over, and they're going to play some music together. And Bill Clinton's looking for his saxophone. He can't find his saxophone. His friend says, all right, well, I'm going to go use the restroom. When I come back, we'll play some music together. You'll find your saxophone. The man comes back from using the restroom. Bill Clinton says, I can't find my saxophone. He says, that's too bad, but wow, golden urinals, huh?
Totally. Talking muffins.
I thought that's a great.
I thought it was great.
It's a great joke. I love a good Bill Clinton golden urinal joke. Everybody can remember that. If anybody else has heard that golden urinal joke, make sure you email me. Tom Myers. But what do you think you're best known for?
I think I'm best known for a joke where a guy goes into a convenience store, buys a bunch of random items no one would ever buy, says his girlfriend has an operation, and then me, the observationalist, I think to myself, yeah, right. What did she have? A bong hit transplant?
Well, that's a fine joke. How old is that joke? Do you still do it on stage?
I don't. See, it doesn't. See, I don't really do a lot of stuff that I did when I was in my mid-20s. Now,
no greatest hit sets?
No, that's what the albums are for. Like once I record it and put it out, I think bong hit transplants on an album. Once that goes out, then I don't do it anymore. I always
Speaking of albums
stuff, yeah.
You have one of the names of one of my favorite names of an album. Matt, have you heard this before? He has an album, Words of Mass Destruction. Robbie Goodwin.
So that's why I like him.
Well, they work. That was the best people on network television.
Yeah.
What was your first impression that you ever did?
Sandler's probably the one people like the most from me.
Oh, I see. Is that your first impression?
Kinda, yeah. That's the first one that really people cared about.
You know, maybe you'd relate on this here too. Not a lot of people know this. I've talked about this before. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Fallon, even to this day.
Yeah.
But not a lot of people remember he was the first person to be doing an Adam Sandler impression. He kind of invented everybody's kind of just doing Jimmy Fallon's Adam Sandler.
I'm kind of doing Fallon Sandler.
Isn't that interesting? Not a lot of people really give him that credit, I think.
No, they don't, because I like Jimmy. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Fallon, honestly.
Right.
I think he was really talented.
Have you ever drank with him? I heard he's a real New York local.
I actually drink at a bar that apparently he used to go to all the time. It's like a karaoke bar.
And if you think you know this year's winner, email me, dc30minutehalfhour@gmail.com. And this year's winner of David Collins' 30-minute half-hour show's Best Guest Award goes to Tom Myers.
What is going on, David Collins Nation? Just want to thank all of y'all for the nomination for Best Podcast Guest of this year. It is truly an honor. It's the first time I've ever been nominated for anything. In fact, I'm going to retire now that I received this nomination because it has been my life's goal to receive any kind of nomination whatsoever. So thank you very much, loyal listeners of the David Collins 30-minute half-hour show. I also now feel indebted, interestingly enough, to Blind Mike Geary, who suggested I go on the show. I can just hear his voice now. Yes, I feel Tommy Boy owes me some portion of this nomination that he's gotten. If he wins the award, I only ask he comes back on my show to grovel to me. It was a bad Blind Mike impression, but I think you'd appreciate it. Thanks again.
Thank you, Tom Myers, and thank you to everybody who won or appeared on David Collins' 30-minute-half-hour show, and another thank you to everybody that I mentioned before. Boy, what a great year. And we're going to be looking forward to next year, too, and Drive Time David Collins and the reality show. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Hopefully a great 2025. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Boy, what a great show. That's perfect. Everybody listening, I've been David Collins, and you've been the best.
David. 30 minutes. Show with David.
All these trophies. You got to tell me which one's your favorite.
Probably winning Best Returning Guest of the David Collins 30-minute half-hour show.
Is that the gosh darn truth?
I ain't lying.
Whew.